Welcome back to the Dating Battle, friends. And tonight, my guest of honor is Heather. Hi, Heather.
Hi, it's so nice to meet you.
You too. Any friend of Kyle's is a friend of mine.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
So tonight our topic is about polyamorous relationships. So I'm a newbie to this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I've ever done it. Like I've had multiple partners and they didn't know about each other. Is that
I would say that's probably more cheating, or don't ask, don't tell. Polyamory is the practice of multiple relationships, romantic relationships at once, with transparency between all partners, letting folks know that, I have an interest in not just being in a romantic partnership where it's just you and me. I feel like I have a lot of love to give, and it's letting go of this idea that, this one person has to fill all these roles.
I don't know if one person can.
I don't really think that they can, and that's kind of like, my logic to it. So even if you decide that monogamy is more your speed, and you really only have the capacity to be romantically attracted to one person, you still need to fill your life up with other people besides that person. You're going to fill your life up with friends, you're going to fill your life up with family, but oftentimes we put romantic love on this pedestal as the epitome of what love looks like.
Forever after.
Forever after, and you and me against the world, and we lose phrases when we think of things like that, like, it takes a village and community first. We lose that vision of putting community first when we become so individualistic that it becomes like our insular little world is like the only world that matters. And that world can be expanded. It doesn't have to be just you two. It could be a beautiful mix of friends, lovers, partners, and polyamory also should not be conflated with the umbrella term of ethical non-monogamy, because that just encompasses a lot of different things, because you can practice ethical non-monogamy and not be polyamorous.
And what does that really mean?
So basically, if I had to describe it one way, like I said, polyamory is the practice of multiple romantic relationships. Ethical non-monogamy, you could be in one romantic relationship, but be sexually open.
Yes, I've been there.
Yes, so that's where we get the term swingers from.
Yes.
Couple is swapping, and friends with benefits, intimate friends. I prefer to refer to like a friend naturally comes with benefits. Like, if the benefit of your friendship is sex, I can get that anywhere from anyone, I prefer the term intimate friends because it's a better reflection of what it is.
I think I prefer that too, because I've had people that I was dating that called me their friend, and that always kind of hurts my feelings a little bit, but I think I would prefer intimate friends.
Yeah, this is my intimate friend, and it's like, oh, what does that mean? And it's like, well, it means like we're hooking up and we're dating and we're seeing where it goes, but right now it's just friends. We haven't gone and escalated it to an actual partnership. And it's also like understanding roles in your life, like treating not every relationship is going to be equal, but they should be treated with equity, if that makes sense. Like, I don't like the idea of, in polyamory, you might hear people throw around terms like a primary partner or a secondary partner. I don't really agree with those terms, as they are outdated, because there are no secondary people, and I could never choose between my three partners. Like, they all have a different importance to me, but are all those partnerships necessarily equal, with equal time spent, with me being able to see them as regularly as No, not necessarily. Are each of those relationships going towards the same destination? No, not each relationship is a relationship that's going to end in cohabitation. But that doesn't make them any less of a life partner, if that makes sense.
So, have you always been polyamorous?
I think so. To be truthful, I had a problem with cheating for a little bit. I would be like involved with people, and then I would still get crushes and catch feelings for other people, but it wasn't because my feelings for my other partner were dwindling. They were just connections that I felt, these natural connections, and it always felt wrong to deny that, but I wasn't doing it in an ethical way. And when I got to be 18, I had been kind of doing an open relationship with someone without calling it that, and then formally at the end of my freshman year of college, I was like, I don't really think monogamy is it, and I blame harem anime, Tenchi Muyo, this is your fault. I always, whenever I would see love triangles on TV, I'm like, why can't she just be with both of them? Why can't he just be with both of them? Like, why do we have to choose? They're both great, and I would never really understand those tropes, and I would never be able to choose between the people in the love triangle because I would see good qualities in both, things that I would want out of both of those dynamics that aren't the same. And I don't think that one would be more valuable over the other because they both, in my eyes, would have value. So monogamy in a lot of ways didn't make sense. Doesn't help that my parents got divorced when I was at a very young age. But then they were like best friends. It was just, I did not grow up in traditional circumstances. Parents got divorced early, still remained best friends and co-parented.
That's great.
So, after a messy divorce, mind you, but they worked through that and they got there. And I think that's another reason why, when people say, oh, you can't be friends with your exes, I look at them like, what do you mean? I don't understand that because...
So I have a question. How do you deal with jealousy in a polyamorous
relationship? You acknowledge it. It doesn't go away just because I say I'm polyamorous, but it's how we view jealousy that I think makes a difference. So oftentimes when we get jealous, it's coming from a place of insecurity in my experience, or some behavior is reminding us of something that happened in the past and it's raising a red flag inside of us. Or maybe there's a fear that your partner, because they're caught up in what we call new relationship energy, or in monogamous culture, it's called the honeymoon phase, where you're getting this rush and you're having sex all the time and you're seeing each other all the time and you just can't get it off, all that stuff, right? That is what we call new relationship energy, and sometimes seeing your partner have new relationship energy with somebody else, it makes you worry, oh, am I not good enough? What if they like them more than me?
Right.
This person is so cool. Oh my God, I'm not cool in the way they're cool. But that's not why your partner's with you. They're not with you to being this carbon copy of this other person. They're with them for other reasons because they're getting different things from them. And it's letting go of that control and instead going up to your partner and being like, I'm feeling a little jealous. I'm feeling a little insecure, and having trust to be vulnerable and also trust that your partner is going to allow space for that. I also think it's very important to develop self-soothing tactics. For example, if you're new to polyamory, some of the first anxieties you always are going to deal with is your partner has a date on a night that you don't have a date, and you're sitting at home alone, and your brain is just going wild, like, oh my God, what could they be doing? He's having a better time with her, she's having a better time with him. them, you know, like, oh my god, crap, like, and you're just swirling and swirling. Find things that are going to self-soothe you. Be like, you know what? I get to starfish in the bed tonight. That's going to be great. I get the bed to myself. Yay. Oh my god, they're not home all night. I can finally watch my shows. I can finally catch up on these things that I wanted to do without them that they're not really into. Let's say you love watching Love is Blind and your partner is like, yo, I don't want to watch that reality TV shit. Like, and that's their attitude. So you watch different shows together. Guess what? Now you can spend a whole night catching up on Love is Blind because they're off doing their own thing. Not space to do your own thing. It's a matter of reframing it.
So I have a question. So does that give you, being in a polyamorous relationship, does that give you the freedom to sleep with whoever or whenever?
So I think the thing is that you need to define boundaries within your polyamorous relationship because each dynamic is going to look different. Like my dynamics with my partner might not look like the dynamics of other people and what they're comfortable with. And the thing about polyamory is like those dynamics bloom and grow and those boundaries will grow and expand. Something you might not be comfortable with starting off at the beginning might make less and less sense for it to be a boundary as time goes on because trust and rapport has been developed and you're like, no, you're not going anywhere. I actually don't mind if you did this with another partner. So I would say that it's a balancing act. The whole experience is truly a balancing act.
It sounds like you learn as you go along.
Basically, because there's not really much of a model for this. Like, there are books you can read, like The Ethical Slut, More Than Two, you know, other different polyamorous books that, like, you can read to educate yourself on it. But, like, I would say that for me, my boundaries are just let me know after you sleep with someone new. You don't need to let me know before. Like, I appreciate it if you let me know before, like, hey, I started talking to someone new. It might go somewhere. Okay, cool. And then, you know, at the same time, you don't need to give me the play-by-play. You know, you could just let me know, hey, we had sex. Cool. Awesome. Did you use a condom? Yes. Cool. Like, with new people, are you practicing sexual safety? Are you being considerate? I'm not just myself, but the other people in our polycule that we need to keep sexually safe. That's like my biggest boundary. Also, for example, I'm not going to mess around with one of my partner's like best friend. That just seems
Off limits.
like a little off limits. Like there's got to be some level of boundaries. Like, I get it, you're attracted to my friends, fine, but like, it makes me uncomfortable because if something goes fucky with you, now my relationship with my friend might be compromised because you two decided to date, and that seems a little. But you know, at the same time, if there was really a genuine connection between you two, I don't believe in veto power, so I don't believe in telling a partner like, you have to do this, you have to date this person, or no, you can't date this person, because the whole point of polyamory is respecting somebody's autonomy. And like, it's not a free-for-all. You can't just be going around like fucking people raw and not caring or anything else like that, because again, that's unethical. That's not focusing sexual safety. You're not focusing on like the fact that there are other people in your polycule that will pay if you go around having unprotected sex with people that you haven't vetted, with people who aren't getting regularly tested. Like, these are the kinds of boundaries that we're considering, or in polyamory, rather than restricting people to who they can and cannot like.
So I have another question. Do they only, in your polycules, so do they only hook up with you? Is that the thing they have in common?
Typically, yes. I mean, like, it's not to say that there can't be some crossover because different polycules have different dynamics. So you've got, like, the N polycule, which if you imagine the letter N, like, this point over here connects to this point, and then this point over here connects to this point. So these two people are partners with this person, right? But this person is not partners with the other point that goes up here. That part of the end is only connected to this part of the end. So you see what I'm saying? Like, so there's different dynamics like that. There's the V, which means like, you know, there's this person at the center and then these two partners, but they are not touching. Then you've got triads, where it's all three of y'all together. Triads are the hardest dynamic, actually, in polyamory. As much as they're the ones that are the most frequently freaking featured, they are the most difficult. If you try to start polyamory in a triad, you might be a little crazy. Not gonna lie, because that is like, you gotta do a lot of deconstruction before you can get to a place where that's healthy.
So what does that mean? All three people are
Together. Yeah, they're all together. A good example of a triad dynamic, if anybody wants a movie to kind of put like a visual to it, it would be Professor Marston and the Wonder Women. If you guys haven't watched it, I highly recommend it because that was the first time I saw polyamory and bisexuality depicted in a major motion film, and like in a way that was touching. Like, yeah, there were certain things about the movie that were dramatized and made a little bit more problematic because there needed to be a sense of anxiety between the characters. But if you like watch the movie, you know, you see a beautiful love story and you see how much we limit the kind of love stories we tell when we only tell monogamous love stories.
That is true.
You know, so many movies I watch with a love triangle, I'm like, polyamory would solve this problem. This doesn't even need to be all this miscommunication and sneaking around and all. I'm like, just be poly. That's me watching half of the movies and media. Just be poly.
Well, surprisingly, I've met more older people, like in their 40s, and women and men equally. And I'm always surprised because I feel like I saw something. I always read these like dating facts on Snapchat, and they said most people 45 and under consider a polyamorous relationship.
Yeah, that sounds just about right because there were poly people before, you know, the 1950s, all that stuff. There was a community. There's always been a body modification community. There's always been a kink community. There's always been, you know, an underground for forever. And the thing about that underground is that just like how a lot of people had to be closeted and in the closet about being gay and queer, and now we're seeing more people coming out and being like openly trans, openly non-binary, openly gay, openly queer. You know, in the same way we're going to see a similar movement of polyamorous people that had to hide and have a don't ask, don't tell relationship and like, you know, maybe to keep their lives a secret. Like, there are people that are polyamorous in the army that cannot be open about being polyamorous in the army, otherwise they will lose their benefits.
That's seriously something that goes on? That's crazy.
Yeah, so like, people will be discriminated against for being polyamory. Kids, if you try to raise your kid in a polyamorous house and like, you know, which if I have children, do plan to do, even the way that you have to express what polyamory is and explain these things to them, you gotta be really careful about telling like a toddler who's got no control on what comes out of their mouth and the kind of information that comes out of their mouth. Like, you can't trust them with that kind of a secret because that could potentially ostracize them in school. You know, oh, I don't want my kids around that stuff. I don't want, like, you know, it starts from the parents. Kids aren't taught to hate, but parents will teach their kids to hate. So, you know, it's also a matter of, like, the same way not everybody can be out and proud when they're queer. Not everybody can be out and proud when they're polyamorous or ethically non-monogamous, because even though we're not doing anything wrong, we're actually doing, in my opinion, something right, because it's the monogamous people that are out here cheating on each other, giving each other HIV, and like doing all sorts of foul stuff with divorce rates through the roof. I don't know. I think that like polyamory people, the people that I know that have been in polyamorous relationships have been in relationships for over a decade. They've been together. One of the couples I'm thinking of has been together for 13 years, and then the other couple I'm thinking of has also been together for 13 years.
Wow. Well, I saw something on Snapchat again saying that we have the highest rate of 40-year-olds that are unmarried.
That doesn't surprise me, because the other thing that also runs low, in my experience, in monogamous culture, is emotional intelligence.
Facts.
Because in polyamory, there's no room. There's no room to sit there and not be able to look in the mirror. You have to look in the mirror. You have to look at those insecurities. You have to confront those things. You need to deconstruct these things in order to have a healthy polyamorous relationship. And if you're not willing to do that, that's gonna come up as a problem later on down the line. And monogamous people do not have to confront those insecurities as much, because they aren't forced to look at it when another partner comes in to the mix, you know?